sip and converse. Let's sip and converse. Let's talk about it. Sip and converse.
What's up, everybody? This is DJ Bridgen. I'm here with my boy
Larry Williams.
Hey, you just came to the first episode of Sip and Converse.
Episode of many to come, many to follow.
Yes, Larry and I, we've been so excited over the past few months as we're putting this podcast together. And let me put a disclaimer out here. By no means I am a subject matter expert. However, the Lord has blessed me to be on this wonderful earth a little over 5 decades, and I had a chance to experience life. And I'm forever a student on how to improve my life while here on earth. And so just by living life, having people to mentor and coach me throughout different things in my life, and just being well submitted to things just to help me be a better person in life. What you got to add on to that, Crib?
Well, I'm not a guru, but I did spend a day at a Holiday Inn Express before. So DJ, after living life, going through everything, you do begin to pick up things that you take with you, things that you hear other people say.
Yeah.
Wise people. You can't pick up some things from people that's not too wise.
Absolutely.
But, I'm like I stated, I'm not a guru, I'm not a subject expert, but I think I've been on here long enough. Don't let the gray hair fool you. But I got some things we can use and add value to each other. So what do you think about that, DJ?
Hey, you know what? You just said something that was very interesting. My great-grandmother, one of my great-grandmothers, I had the privilege of, growing up living beside her. And you did say you can learn things from a fool. My great-grandmother actually said that. You can learn things from a fool. Anything that a fool is doing and is not profitable in their lives, watch what they do and do the complete opposite, or don't do it at all, because you don't want to fall in the same footsteps of a fool if it's going to get you in jail or get you beat up, or just don't bring great things on in your life.
Well, I grew up in a day where following the fool got you whoopings. I got my share of whoopings following the fool.
Well, I can't contest to that, because I grew up with my cousins and stuff. And if once somebody got a beating for something, I said, man, those switches that they made back in the day in North Carolina, they didn't feel too well on my legs. So I not call my cousins a fool or a cousin a fool, but I just knew I'm not going to do the same foolish thing that someone else did to get a switching.
I understand. But DJ, I want to ask you, with our podcast with Sip and Converse, what are some topics we're going to be covering later on this series?
Sure. Well, let's cover Sip and Converse. I know somebody probably saying, what they sipping? What they sipping on? Look, again, a disclaimer. Larry and I are not holding anybody to what they can sip on. Today, I'm sipping on one of my favorite healthy energy drinks. And if you want to know more about our energy drinks, hey, hit us up on our YouTube channel, whatever social media platform, and we'd be more than happy to share that with you. But hey, we want to make this platform to whatever you want to sip and converse about. Sit there and just enjoy yourself while we are conversating back and forth with each other. But our topics that Larry is talking about, well, we're going to be on our social media platforms, or if you want to be listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, we're going to be covering everything in life. Like I said before, I've been blessed to be on this decade a little over. I've been blessed to be on this earth a little over 5 decades. And there's a multitude of things that I've learned over the years, not just from my life experience, but by being with other people. And so we're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about relationships. We're going to be talking about, we might be able to talk about cooking, because my boy over here, Crib, he can get down on the grill.
Every now and then. I've been known to make a nice burger or two.
A nice what?
Burger or two.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's kind of nice out here in Atlanta today. I can use a burger with some bacon on it.
Yeah, yeah, can't never go wrong. Everything tastes better with bacon.
That's
At
what
least
they
that's what
say.
I heard.
Oh, you might be right on that because bacon has never let me down.
But one thing I wanted to go back to, DJ, you were talking about the title, Sip and Converse.
Yes.
We don't know what time you're going to be watching this. You may be watching it first thing in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Sip you on some coffee, some hot tea.
Uh-huh.
You might be watching it midday. Might be an energy drink, water, North Carolina, Pepsi, Mountain Dew. If you in the South, it might be Coke
Yeah,
for
yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
And then it might be a nightcap. You might be sipping on some grown folks. No judgment.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Sip and Converse. Whatever time you watching the podcast or listening to our podcast, go ahead and get you a nice sip to quench that thirst that you may be participating in.
Well, you know what, Larry, when I was in the military, one of our sayings was, it's a happy hour somewhere in the world.
And when I was at Georgia Southern, the phrase was drink till you faint. Whether it was water, coffee, milk, whatever you wanted to sip. But it was 5 o'clock somewhere, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the things that Larry and I would love to bring to the topic today, and it's something that was very near and dear to both our hearts. We both have daughters, and
Yes.
it's nothing about nothing like being a father of a girl,
Dad girls.
and my daughter is 33 years old, and I still call her little girl to the day because she's always gonna be my little girl.
And my daughter's 8 and act like she's 33.
Yeah.
But she's still my baby girl today.
Yes. And you and I both married, have beautiful wives. In a few months, Lord's will, we'll have been married 35 years.
October will be start of year number 15. So yes, ladies, I'm married. Don't go sliding into DMs. You don't want them problems with my wife.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure you can contest to this. Being in a relationship, not just married or any type of relationship, you have to put in work.
Yeah, it's work.
You have to put in work, and a lot of times when you're in conversation with people, I hear people complain about this and that, and they don't realize, I don't care what type of relationship it is, you have to put in work.
I think too, with what society has done, and when we like to suspend belief and watch movies,
Yeah,
they make marriages look like, boom,
yeah,
it's something simple. Wake up, it's fairy tale. Your knight in shining armor or your queen to be gonna be wearing a glass slipper, come out of the house,
yeah,
and you just married forever with no issues.
yeah,
Every married couple I know that's been together for an extended period of time, and let alone not even married couples, but productive couples,
yeah.
it takes work.
Absolutely,
It takes work.
absolutely. And so, with especially when it comes to being married to your wife and your daughter, what are some of the things that you realize that when you wasn't married that you really had to pay a close attention to? Because I also know, just been knowing you personally for over 15 years, not only do that you have a wife and a daughter, but you also had a mother because you here,
Yep.
and you also have sisters.
Yep. Three says what I've learned is in our entire span growing around, I love to say it, I ain't gonna say I hate to say it, some manly men.
Yeah,
It was the protection that the family brought, and it was protection that my uncles, my father, my cousins brought to my nieces, my moms, my aunts. Is what we call a covering.
yeah, yeah,
It was like you stated. I'm a dad. I'm a dad girl, and I would do anything for my daughter and my wife to make sure they protected, they provided, that holistically I'm there for them. So I think part of the things that we have to learn in society is not only, we think about how the movies tell us you take your jacket off, lay it over the puddle of water,
yes,
chivalry.
yes, yes,
But to me, chivalry is more than just opening the door or letting the lady go first. It's the full covering. And I wanted to ask you, DJ, why should we cover the women in our lives, or what is covering?
That's a great question. You know, that question right there makes you really have to really. You should be able to dig deep and and analyze when it comes to covering someone in my life. What am I really doing, far as covering that person within my life? Does that really mean I should just open up an umbrella when it's raining, or should I make sure that I just have a roof over their head when they lay down at night,
Mm-hmm.
or or should I just make sure they have clothes on and everything is good? Because I hear so many, not just young men, just men that's my age, who might have not had a great relationship for whatever reason, split. The relationship ended with their kid's mother, and so they thought they were just doing a good thing because they paid child support, and they cover their deal with their kids.
One of their responsibilities.
They were responsibility, but then you had to be responsible for anything else. And I'm listening to this so many times. I'm like, nah. Part of your covering is, if you're not in the household with your child anymore, or the mother of your children or child, when you're not in that household, your covering is gone, because your kids don't have that sense of comfort or protection anymore when the dad is not in there.
Gotcha. Protection.
The woman doesn't have it anymore.
Mm.
The woman is like, oh, I don't have that male figure here. I got to protect the home. And God didn't build the woman for that. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-oh.
And so when the kids grow up unprotected,
Mm-hmm.
but when the daddy tell them, I pay child support, I cover you. Okay, daddy, I commend you for that.
Right.
You took me out some places for my birthday. We hung out in the movies, but the daddy didn't really cover that child because he wasn't in the household. And so my brothers, I'm not really trying to throw shade at them for doing that. And if I don't want you to stay in a relationship that's not even working,
Mm-hmm.
but there's some things that you have to really put some other extra effort into when you pull yourself out of that household.
When I think about covering, it's it's multiple ways to be covered.
Yes.
If you're cold, you can put a little jacket on. But if the temperature drops below that little jacket's not going to be enough for covering.
Yeah.
Then you got your blankets. Then you got your quilts that you made in North Carolina where they sew them together.
Uh-huh.
Then you got nowadays you got the what? The weighted blanket.
Yeah.
So, some men may feel like they may be the weighted blanket, meaning they're covering so much in a negative way that it feel like it's a smothering effect.
Could you expand on that a little bit?
You know, um, you see in life that sometimes this day and age when you're trying to decipher or learn what manhood is, some men believe they're a man because they a man. They were born that way. So I was trying to be PG, but but they were born that way and they feel that I'm a man because I say I'm a man. So my covering is to tell her what to do, when to do, how to do,
Mm-hmm.
and not do what we call actively listen or work together as a team.
Yes.
That would be the heavy. That's the 7 to 10 pound weighted blanket.
Yeah.
That if you anybody out there in the digital world know that when you get one of them nice heavy weighted blankets, once you get up under there at night, you feel stuck. But as a man, you don't want your wife to feel stuck.
Yeah.
You just want her to feel protected. It's raining outside. That's the going to the store in the car analogy instead of walking in the rain.
Yeah.
Although that was a great jam back in the day, walking in the rain.
Well,
But you always want to make sure you take care of and you be there spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, especially if you talking about children, because that child didn't ask to come into this world.
nope.
Two grown folks did that.
You know what? you just touched on something, and of course, I'm always going to be transparent. That's one of the things. My characteristic traits is being transparent as possible with people.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned something spiritually, and probably about 10 or 15 years ago, it almost cost me my marriage. Nothing that my wife did wrong
Talk
or my
about it.
child did wrong. It's something that DJ realized that he never not say got right. He never started off right.
So who did it?
DJ,
So it wasn't anybody else.
nobody else.
Okay,
What
gotcha.
what I came to realize and what was eventually showed to me spiritually, um, is that I wasn't covering my wife or my daughter, my entire family spiritually because I wasn't living a spiritual life. And and for those who claim to be followers of Christ, because there's other people say they're Christians but they're not followers of Christ, but that's a whole nother topic. But for those who say they're followers of Christ, if if you're not spiritually covering your family, and then that's one of the number one problems that you're gonna run into with your relationships. And that's not something that I say I got it right now. That's an ongoing uh, learning basis that men gonna have to do. And that's from my observation, because again, my disclaimer is I'm not saying I'm a subject matter expert, but
Right, right.
after building, going through my relationship and still building my relationship with my wife, is that spiritually should be the the main foundation that all relationships should be built on.
Part of that too, though, with the spiritual aspect, before anybody can cover anybody, you got to have your own firm foundation put in place.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That means taking another look, like DJ stated. DJ might have caused the issues that were going on in their relationship.
Most definitely, I did.
So, in order for anybody, man, woman, grown folks, old folks, you have to be firmly planted first
Yep.
before you try to say, I'm going to go out here and cover somebody. Oftentimes in society, you got broke people trying to cover broke people, not financially,
Ah,
but
talk about it.
I got holes in my tent and I'm getting wet, but I'm over here trying to cover you in your tent, but I haven't worked on the things that I need to work on. Broke, hurt people hurt people. We've all heard that saying. So if you coming into a new relationship, whether it's business, whether it's a relationship with your children that you're not with the mother of your child, whether it's with the mother of your child or a new relationship, period, friends and all. If you don't have a firm foundation already set in place, what are you bringing into that relationship where you mutually both benefit? But if you got a weak foundation, you can't build a 7,000 square foot house on a 1,500 square foot foundation.
Or if while we using the analogy of a house, if your foundation of your home is unstable, why are you going to bring all this expensive furniture inside that house?
Mm-hmm.
You wasting even more money.
Wasting more money and looking at eventually problems going to occur.
Yeah.
I was in real estate for several years and I used to come across some investors who cut corners. And eventually you first walk in, it looks like oh, this is nicely done. This is nicely renovated. But I saw that before they did this renovation, it was a crack in the floor, but
Yep.
it wasn't enough time to fix that crack. So now you selling a product or presenting a product to a person that's going to be a first time buyer, i.e. a new relationship
Yeah.
or your children. You presenting them something that's developed with flaws already.
Yeah.
But you don't expect them to come back to haunt you, whether it's this year, 2 years down the line, or 20 years down the line. If you built your whole relationship on a weak foundation, not being spiritually grounded, not knowing the role or the purpose that you are in that relationship,
Absolutely.
eventually it all comes tumbling down.
I see a lot now with actually, I heard a young man probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He made this comment about people in his generation
Mm-hmm.
are making moves on each other, and he spoke from a male's perspective. He said a lot of people in his generation making moves on females based on their outer appearance, based on the things that they put on their bodies to make them seem superior, but they never took time to really know the person that they're getting involved with. And what happens is a lot of time, they either wind up having kids together, or they wind up making a decision to get married based on a physical appearance, but never took time to learn the inner appearance of the person. And then they're frustrated of why they wasted all this time with this person. And so he said he's never swayed about anyone about their outer appearance, because that's not what God has intended for us to be on this earth. And he said, and he went on to make a comment. He said God brought Eve on this earth to be a helpmate to Adam. He brought a woman here to be a helpmate to Adam. But he said now this society got it all confused.
Part of that too is, you know, yeah, Adam was here before Eve, but Adam also created a safe space, which is part of covering. You know, how many of us men create safe spaces for the children or the women or the workplace? Because not only, you know, I digress. One thing I can't stand is a phrase that people use: my work husband or my work wife.
Oh yeah.
You're getting into trouble with that. But being covering, you do need to create a safe space for the women in your life and within your workspace or your church space. But it don't mean that you trying to cover them like you one of them weighted blankets.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But you gotta have a space. Men can turn the temperature of the room. Are you the thermostat or are you the, you know what I'm saying? Or are you the temperature? You want to be the thermostat where you set the temperature. So creating that safe space where women feel comfortable, where they feel invited, where you feel like if your daughter, because I got an 8-year-old daughter, like I stated, I hope and I pray that the school that she's attending is a safe space.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, the men that are there working in the building should be creating a safe space where, although I can't sit in her class all the time, that the environment itself is a safe space.
You're right. Because I'm sure you had experienced this as well. I have come across so many men, excuse me, that have said, only people I need to worry about covering in my life, if it ain't my wife or my daughter or my grandmama or my aunties, everybody else, it's not my worry. And that's not true.
Right.
First of all, me and my wife both have had the honor and privilege to serve our country, and so we both combat veterans, and so everybody that's in the United States are being covered 24/7 every day
By somebody.
by soldiers, by somebody.
Yep.
And so you shouldn't have that mindset that you only have to worry about is the people that's blood related to you. And so you're right. It should be a safe space for every woman or child that's in your vicinity. That doesn't necessarily have to be, blood related.
Yeah.
Because everybody is not really covered properly. So you want to make sure they feel safe around you, in any environment that you're in. Because my mom is in 3-4 states away from me, and so and my dad has already passed away. So I hope somebody is covering my mom, in the absence of me.
Right.
Because what is the word? You reap what you sow.
Reap what you sow.
But you don't always
Reap it where you sow.
reap it where you sow. And so I'm gonna do my best to cover people wherever I can and do right by people, because I want to make sure that my mom is being covered proper too as well.
And many times, most men, I ain't gonna say most men, many times people, I just put it that way, people don't know how to cover because they don't have the emotional intelligence to do so. Because there's a difference between IQ and EQ.
Talk about it.
We're gonna save that one. But EQ is your emotional. Where are you emotionally? Many times, like you stated, you'll come across people that say, if it ain't my blood related, it's not my wife, my daughter, my auntie, whoever, my grandma, everybody else, I don't care what happened to them. That's a weak emotional person.
Yeah.
that tends to only think about me, my, and I.
Absolutely.
That's a rhyme. That me, my, and I. But then it comes with the communication. So emotional intelligence and communication. How open are you with the communication with the loved ones that are around you that allow you to help cover them?
Yeah.
And it goes back to, a question, a powerful action item I would want to hear men to ask women in their lives, whether it's your sisters, your mom, or your children. How do you want me to cover you? How
Yeah.
can I help? How can I help be a part of your life, but not in control of your life
Yeah.
from a person coverage?
That's funny that you stated that. Um, I think you and I talked about this a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, tell me your thoughts on. I don't need. When you hear women say, "I don't need a man to do anything for me. Whatever I need, I can do it for myself."
It my thoughts. That is a statement that I think is just on automatic repeat. I think many women that use that statement have probably heard their aunt say it or their mom say it. But then when you ask that question or they make that statement, I don't need a man, I can do it all by myself. Is that true? Can you go change this tire? Just simple thing. Can you change the tire by yourself? Did you learn that on your own without your father teaching you how to do that? Or
Mm-hmm.
your uncle teaching you how to change a tire? Or did you go watch a YouTube video how to do it? I think that's a statement it sound good when it comes out your lips, but do people really mean that statement when they say it?
Well,
I'm not a woman, so I can't speak for what they thinking about when they use that
yeah.
phrase. But my question would be, do you really mean it, or is this a jab to end the argument or the disagreement that's taking place right then?
I mean, personally, I think it's a little of both.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what I've noticed, there's some men that's okay with
That's
accepting that.
okay with
Yeah,
that.
they okay with it. I'm gonna let her do whatever she can handle, and what
Mhm.
she can't, I'm gonna fill in from there. And I'm like, really, really, dude?
So you laying up with a lady. Yeah, I'm saying it. Laying up with a lady. It's her house. She buying the food to put it in the refrigerator. It's her refrigerator.
Yeah,
You sleeping in her bed,
yeah.
and you hear him at the barbershop all the time. My lady this, my lady that. I don't have to do nothing. But if she decided one day, hey brother, time for you to go, what are you gonna do? But then you get that's a hurt man who's been babied his entire life.
Because I think this is the confusion that people have from my perspective. Just because your woman is making more money than you doesn't mean that you have to make yourself a lesser man.
Mm.
So that's where I think a lot of this stuff comes in at.
So some men feel that if their woman is making more than them, they can just fall back and
Yeah,
be the lesser man and feel like they got a sugar mama instead of.
yeah. You don't have to be a lesser man because your woman's making more money than you. First of all, it first of all, if y'all in a relationship, it's all about you being united as a person first.
Mhm.
Money is a materialistic thing. People can take money from you, you can get that back.
So I want to touch on something
Yeah.
with that. With the man making less than a woman,
Uh-huh.
from a male perspective, how do you think that make most men feel?
Well, it don't do anything to me.
All right. Park DJ over here in the parking spot. What have you seen in your ministry of men? Their reactions of those that you've come across where, say for instance, the wife or the girlfriend makes more than them financially. Have you seen the man quiver down? Have you seen him feel develop a low self esteem? Did it make some men get on a good foot and try to go do it, or did it be like, yeah, she makes more than me, but we still united as one?
Some of the things great questions. A few things that I've noticed
Mm-hmm.
over the years is that is is that about 4 years I had an opportunity to do prison ministry, and I seen some guys that was in prison ministry in that same predicament. The girls were making, or the wives making more money. Most of them were just girlfriends, and so they couldn't get a job to get them the status they wanted. So guess what they went and done?
Yeah.
Stuff that wasn't legal.
Right.
And guess where position they put them in?
What the position they were in?
Yeah, a place that I was talking to them at they shouldn't have been.
Exactly.
And so when I share this with them, I'm like, and I said, I'm not doing this at a way that I'm talking hateful to you. I said, if we having this conversation right now, I say you're out of pocket.
Right.
I said you never want to be out of pocket from covering your family. You never want to be out of pocket.
Because now you physically put yourself in an ability that you can't cover.
You can't cover.
Gotcha. So DJ, we got about 5 more minutes on this in this session here.
Yeah.
About covering her. What if it was an action step that you could employ people to do or men to do as far as getting on the good foot? What if some men are out there listening? I don't know how to cover. Where do I begin to cover? What are some things that they can begin to do, a baby step to work towards becoming the right person to cover?
Sure. First of all, they can reach out to us, Larry.
Well,
Inbox us at Sip and Converse, and let us know that, hey, I want to get deep dive more about the conversation that you heard today, and see if I can be a part of your platform and get a little bit more about covering her, because I want to be a better person on covering the women, and not just the women in my family, the women in my community where I live or serve.
Right, because covering a community begin to change a community.
Absolutely.
I would say it's a great book out there. We don't get paid for endorsing this
Not
book,
at all.
but there was a book out there called Cover Her by Roderick Harrison. That was the first time I read that book, and man, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, be prepared to get whooped when you read this book. It's an easy read.
Yep.
But what you think you're doing now is going to make you realize that you're not quite doing enough.
Yeah.
What else should they do?
From a Christian standpoint, I would share with you, for those, again, like I said, who's a follower of Christ, if you attend a church, get with the brothers that you see that's growing in church, and because everybody not gonna have access to your pastor. Get with some other brothers that you see is growing in church, or somebody that you see that's properly covering, that you think is properly covering the wives or daughters in your church. Get with them, or you could start a group at your church, or seek a church if you're not a church to be able to start learning how to cover women properly in your community. If not, you're welcome to come by and check our church out. There's no perfect church, as my pastor can say, but if you're not attending one, you can at least start searching a church so you can be able to learn how to start covering a woman properly if you have the Christian faith. And then if you're looking for a church, again, just DM us, and we have some churches that you can recommend if you'll choose not to join. Larry and I don't go to the same church, but we got 2 churches you can attend.
And I know I'm going to sound like a heathen because DJ talking about church and all, but I would say get you something that you can sip.
Yeah.
And converse with those loved ones around you to ask them, how can I better cover you? And DJ, we're going to call that a wrap on Cover Her.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you made that point before you wrap. I'm going to let Larry wrap it up, but hey, there's some strong couples within my family that's been married 50, 60 years. And so if you got somebody in your family who's been married that long, that's going to give it to you straight on the things that you need to do to cover her, start there too. That's very important.
Very important. Follow some good leadership. And with that, everybody, we want to thank you for joining on our first session of
That's
Cover
right.
Her. Make sure that you don't join us again without having your cup that you can sip and we can converse.
Or DM us so you can purchase your first cup and T-shirts, so the next time you're in proper gear, so you can sip and converse. Peace.
Peace.
Let's sip and converse. Let's sip and converse.